Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, friends. I'm very pleased to be this afternoon with you in this very interesting panel on building forward better in the Caribbean post-COVID-19, critical issues to keep the 2030 agenda in sight. I really want to welcome Marcia Cadell, Minister of Economic Affairs and Investment of Barbados, Dean Jonas, Minister of Social Transformation and the Blue Economy of Antigua and Barbuda, Carrie Grenade, Macroeconomic Advisor, Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development of Grenada, Andrew Lee, Acting Director General of E-Learning in Jamaica, CO, Terry Ans, founder and convener of the CEDAW Committee of Trinidad and Tobago. What a pleasure. And I want to also welcome Roshan Parasram of the Ministry of Health of Trinidad and Tobago, Chief Medical Officer. And of course, I want to greet my very dear colleague, Birgit Gerstenberg, United Nations Resident Coordinator in Belize and El Salvador. And of course, you, Diane Quarles, my esteemed colleague in Port of Spain. I'm so very pleased to join you for our Forum's Caribbean panel, because I'm sure many of you will recall that it was at the meeting of this forum 4 years ago that we launched the Caribbean First initiative to draw attention to the particular challenges that the small island developing states of the Caribbean face. It is a strategy intended to ensure that we put urgency and timely attention to the needs of this subregion. It is a call for solidarity from the wider membership of our region, but also of the wider membership of the world in support of our small states in the Caribbean, because small states are struggling to cope with the obstacles to their development defined by their small size, capacity, vulnerability, insularity. So this afternoon, we turn the spotlight on the impact that COVID-19 is having on the Caribbean, on countries already acknowledged as high vulnerable to external economic and environmental shocks, on countries already shouldering a heavy debt burden, on tourism-dependent economies brought to the brink of collapse because the measures implemented to prevent the spread of the disease have stifled tourism and service industries across the sub-region. So while the safety measures have been mostly effective, and I want to congratulate the countries of the Caribbean because you have done a tremendous effort to keep death rates low, and they have exacted a heavy toll on the, but they have exacted a heavy toll on the economic, social, and psychological well-being of all citizens. And now, as vaccines are slowly becoming available, we have all begun to look with cautious optimism to the day when we can restore some degrees of normalcy to our lives and our livelihoods. But we are not there yet, you know. For the time being, we still need to put our heads together to see how best we cope with the devastating impact of this pandemic without falling through the floor. We must begin to consider how to reignite the engine of growth and recover jobs in the Caribbean post-COVID-19. We need to explore what options exist for financial support to prevent a spiral of deepening debt, from which recovery will be frighteningly steep. We need to see how we safeguard the welfare of women and children who have been disproportionately affected by the lockdown, the closures of schools, and the loss of jobs in the informal economy in particular, where women workers predominate. In fact, more than half of all Caribbean women work in those sectors, precisely those that have been hardly hit by job and income losses. Strategies for recovery must give particular attention to these circumstances if we are to avoid aggravating the reality of highly feminized poverty in the Caribbean. Attention to post-COVID-19 recovery offers an opportunity for the Caribbean to map a new path towards the achievement of its sustainable development goals, to shape a renewed strategy to strengthen the resilience of this most vulnerable subregion by building forward better. This phrase, building forward better, comes from the Caribbean. And we borrow your phrase to put it as a title of our document of this forum. We should seize this opportunity to address both new and long-standing issues that continue to compromise the development trajectory of these states. Attention, I am thinking of the need for broad investment in technology to facilitate education system reform. Developing superior skills in the workforce will also demand a different approach to education and training, which should prioritize the building of functional skills, including information, communication, technology skills, and that incorporates experiential learning opportunities. Therefore, in the reshaped learning environment that COVID-19 has created, ICT devices and internet connectivity have become essential. These are issues urgently to address if we are to avoid a further widening of the skills gap between the rich and the poor households. Finally, we need to be thinking on how we tackle persistent inequality, how to promote women's empowerment, and in the Caribbean, innovative strategies for effective management of non-communicable diseases still is very, very important. These are just a few of the issues and challenges that may well be raised by the panel of our distinguished speakers today. And because I think that the orientation should be, how do we build forward better? But the other thing is, how do we address the critical issues that we are facing today to ensure that the Caribbean stays the course towards achieving the objectives of Agenda 2030? I want to thank you all for agreeing to share your vision and your passion for Caribbean development with us. There can be no more urgent an agenda for the future of your subregion than the topic we have before us. I look forward to hearing your contributions, as well as those of the Caribbean delegations participating in this session. And I also want to take the opportunity to pay tribute to the dynamic, committed leadership of Costa Rica, and in the person of my dear friend, Christian Guillermet Fernandez, Deputy Minister for Multilateral Affairs in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Worship, who by his presence here is demonstrating solidarity, support for the Caribbean's development aspiration. And this is exactly the reason why we give this very important space in the program of the forum to spotlight the needs of this subregion. Let me thank you again for your participation, and let us not forget that financing for development is one of the key priorities for the Caribbean, the alleviation of debt. We have been struggling for that. We are an advocate of the Caribbean to address the problems that you are facing in terms of a high debt, high vulnerability, and of course, how do we build forward better. So it's my hope that this exchange may become very productive ideas on how we can attain Agenda 2030, and of course, how can ECLAC help, assist. And so I'm very much looking forward to the presentation with Caribbean flavor that will end our session this afternoon. Thank you so much.